So with the NBA season really getting into full gear, I thought it's time that we do some takeaways from every NBA team. Because certain teams and players definitely look a lot better than we anticipated, and some look a lot worse than we anticipated, and your boy Young Mustard, you know he has to talk about it. And in this video, we're going to be doing one takeaway from every NBA team so far, starting off with the Eastern Conference. If you guys want to see the Western Conference version of it, you guys feel free to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, because this video is going to be a pretty long one for my standards, let's just kick things off with the first team, and that is my Chicago Bulls. Now, if you've been watching basketball, you know my Chicago Bulls, we are 6-1 in the NBA, and I gotta say, I love it. After years of being mediocre to just straight up trash, finally we have a squad that can actually play basketball. DeMar DeRozan just balled out last night with a near 40-point game and only missed 5 shots in the process. I mean, my God, shout out to my guy DeMar DeRozan. And to think that all those front office execs, they said that was the worst move of the offseason. Clowns, I tell you, clowns. But also shout out to my guy Zach Lavine. Lonzo's hooping as well. Hopefully Vooch can get his footing under him because he has to start playing better. But the biggest takeaway is the question of if the Bulls are legitimate contenders, because when you look at this roster up and down, defensively we've been amazing this year, as we are top 5 in points per game, opponents points per game I should be specific, and defensive rating. Players like Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, and even the guys that aren't known for their defense in DeMar DeRozan, Zach Lavine, and Vucevic, we're all stepping up collectively, and shout out to Billy Donovan, because that really shows his coaching schemes and how he can really coach up a defense to playing better than they're actually expected to. So that's definitely going to be a nice storyline to see at the end of this season on if the Bulls can maintain this level of play on the defensive side of the ball, because offensively we're not even fully in our bags yet, but defensively we have been on a roll, and that's been one of the biggest reasons why we're winning games. But moving on to the next team, we have the Charlotte Hornets, and I gotta say, my guy Miles Bridges has to be the story, because I could talk about LaMelo, but I think all the media sites are gonna do that for me, so let me show some love to my guy Miles Bridges. Now, if you've been following me for some time, you know I've been a big fan of Miles Bridges. This guy's improved every year of his career, and he has even said in the offseason that he's trying to get better and reach all-star status. And so far this year, he's been playing like one, as in the 8 games for the Hornets, he's averaging 23 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, shooting 47% from the field, 34% from 3, and 88% at the free throw line. Now, do I expect all these numbers to maintain? No, probably not, but considering he did shoot near 50, 40, 90 and averaged 13 points a game last year, I'd say 17 to 19 points a game on somewhat similar efficiency is not out of the realm of possibility. And considering how great he fits with LaMelo Ball as a cutter, as a lob threat, as a spot up shooter even, I'd say that this guy's future is set with this Charlotte Hornets organization. Hell, even defensively, he's been great at anticipating passing lanes, which has led to him racking up his steal total. So I gotta say, Miles Bridges for most improved player of the year, yeah, let's push that narrative. But moving on to the next team, we have the Washington Wizards, and my takeaway is that for one, they're playing really well. Shout out to the Wizards, because the fact that they're winning games when Bradley Beal is not even playing at his best right now. I mean, the guy's shooting below 40% from the field and below 30% from 3, so props to him and the Wizards organization as a whole right now, because it's obvious that them going after depth in the Russell Westbrook transaction has paid off dividends. But my takeaway is simply, what's the situation going to be like when Rui Hachimura comes back? Because as much as I like Hachimura, he's not that great of a defender nor floor spacer, and considering how good they have been defensively, or should I say how much better they've been defensively compared to what a lot of people anticipated, I have to say I'm very interested and intrigued to see how Hachimura is going to affect that coming back. So Wes Unseld, he really has a difficult task on his hand as far as how he's going to manage the rotation and their coaching scheme defensively. But moving on to the next team, we have the New York Knicks, and this is going to be fairly short and simple, and my takeaway is that who is their number 2 guy? Because on some nights it could be Evan Fournier, some nights it's Derrick Rose, some nights it's Kemba Walker, and honestly I don't think that's a good thing considering they don't have a legitimate offensive scheme. Now granted, their offense is currently top 5 in the NBA, but if you watch the games, they heavily rely on iso ball and pick and rolls that go absolutely nowhere. And we all know come postseason time, that's the recipe for another first round exit. As we saw last year, Trae Young picked them apart defensively, and offensively they just could not create whatsoever. Because because at the end of the day, ISO ball can only take you so far. But I won't kill the Knicks too much because their offense is clicking currently and they're making their shots, but I'm very concerned on who that second option is going to be come postseason time. But moving on to the next team, we have the Sixers, and I could talk about the Ben Simmons saga, but that's just a waste of my fucking time. This guy's a scrub. So let's talk about someone who actually matters on this roster, and that's Tyrese Maxey, because on the topic of the Ben Simmons trade, Tyrese Maxey, there's a good chance he might be a part of that package. And considering that the jury is still out on if he can be a legit starter right now, I would say these next couple of games, especially without Embiid and Tobias in the lineup, are very important for this young man's career and future moving forward. Because considering he's not that great of a floor spacer as it stands right now, and he's playing on a team with Joel Embiid on it, yeah, it's going to be pretty tough to convince the Sixers not to involve him in that Ben Simmons package. But moving on to the next team, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, and I won't spend too much time because I talked about them in my last video, and it's simple: can they repeat? And honestly, I think they're the #1 favorites to win the championship, considering how all teams are playing right now and the contenders, how they're looking at this moment. And I know the Bucks haven't been that healthy, so hopefully that changes over the next couple of weeks and moving forward in the NBA season. But yeah, it's really that simple. Can they win back-to-back? And I definitely think they can. And if you want my in-depth thoughts on that, check out my last video. But moving on to the next team, we have the Miami Heat, and just like the Bucks, I talked about them recently on my second channel though, so I won't waste too much of your time repeating what I already said. If you haven't seen that video, check it out. But since we're on the topic of the Miami Heat, it's fairly simple, and it's the same question I asked for the Bulls. After getting off to a hot start, the question is, are they legitimate contenders in the East? Bam Adebayo is the early favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. Jimmy Butler is playing like an MVP. Kyle Lowry's impact has been shown despite the lack of a box score, and Tyler Hero, man, I gotta say, he looks like he's having a revenge season. And when you look at the ball movement on this team, it has been immaculate, so props to Eric Spoelstra. Just overall, they look like a well-oiled unit, and I gotta give them credit because they had a lot of pressure this season, especially considering the money they gave Kyle Lowry and how they went out in the playoffs last year. I gotta say they've lived up to all the expectations so far. But moving on to the next team, we have the Atlanta Hawks, and I have to say shout out to my guy Cam Reddish, because I will admit I wasn't too high on Cam Reddish coming into the NBA, and his first 2 years were really unimpressive to me, but so far this season he's looked pretty good. He's averaging 16 points off the bench on 59% true shooting, and considering his capabilities on the defensive side of the ball, combined with the fact that he is still only 22 years of age, I gotta say he fits perfectly with Trae Young and the Hawks' future as a whole. And that then brings the Hawks to this crossroad, because after this year they have a team option, and then he is a free agent in 2023, and you know the offers are gonna go through the roof for him, as there are a lot of suitors that we heard about in the offseason that are interested in Cam Reddish. I mean, like I said, he's only 22 years of age and he's producing now, so that just makes his trade value a whole lot higher. So I really do wonder what the Hawks are going to do moving forward. Keep him as a part of their future plan, or package him in a deal to get a solidified star to help them win a championship. I really do think this is one of the more underrated and intriguing storylines in the NBA. But let's keep moving forward with this list, and next we have the Toronto Raptors, and I gotta say, Toronto, y'all have struck gold with that man Scottie Barnes. If you've been following my channel, you know I recently made a video about Scottie a couple of weeks ago, and I predicted this. I knew this man was gonna be deadly, and so far so good this season, as he has performed amazing. He is for real a walking mismatch, too fast for legit power forwards and too big for small forwards. His jumper ain't there, but hopefully with time and development, which the Raptors have, I fully expect it to come naturally in due time. And I guess my takeaway, aside from the fact that he's balling, which I expected, is that how long until they trade Siakam, because I think it's official, Scottie Barnes took this guy's spot. And considering the Raptors are trying to rebuild, why not trade Siakam for assets, especially if you can get a first round pick that's potentially a top 10 or top 15 pick. And Siakam may be able to get you that, and honestly, considering the reports that he wasn't really happy with the organization last year, I would say it's probably for the best. But while we're on the topic of cold ass rookies, that brings us to our next team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that man Evan Mobley is also a bad man. again. That's my takeaway. This guy is Garnett Durant for real. The guy's defense is already outstanding, and I haven't seen rookie big defense this good since Anthony Davis, and that is saying a lot. The man can switch on pick and rolls. He can defend perimeter players with lateral quickness while being able to defend the rim with his length. Then you throw in the fact that this guy offensively has loads of potential. He can handle the ball, has potential with the jump shot. You're already seeing the flashes there. And even as a playmaker, he has great vision out of the post. I like the two-man game that they run occasionally with him, Darius Garland, and Colin Sexton. I gotta say, the guy's passing is legit, and when you combine that with his ball handling capabilities, I gotta say the guy has the potential to become one of the best playmakers at his position for years to come. But moving on to the next team, we have the Orlando Magic, and I'm not even gonna waste a lot of y'all's time because this team really sucks. But shout out to that man Cole Anthony. He's hooping this year, looking like he's got that point guard position on lock for the Orlando Magic. But what's surprising is that he's not even the player I wanted to talk about as my takeaway for this team, as I want to talk about Mo Bamba. He's averaging 13 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 52% from the field, 41% from 3, which all accumulates to a true shooting percentage of 63%. He's been a great rim protector, a nice lob threat, and he's spacing the floor at the 5 position, which is very valuable in today's NBA. Looks like the Magic have finally given him a legitimate opportunity, and that's all I've been asking for since he got drafted to this organization. But moving on to the next team, we have the Indiana Pacers, and it's just fairly simple. Blow this shit the fuck up. This team has been mid for far too long, and it's obvious that they have so many players that they can move for assets that could kickstart a really nice rebuild for them. So the bottom line is just restart already, because being mediocre is just not the way. But moving on to the next team, we have the Brooklyn Nets, and I think it's fairly clear that this team needs some type of interior presence in the paint, because having your big man rotation be LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, and Paul Millsap in 2021 in a conference that has Giannis and Joel Embiid in it is just never going to work itself out. But that's really all I have to say about this team, and if you want my in-depth thoughts about them, make sure you go and check out my recent video I posted a week or two ago. But let's move on to the next team. We have the Detroit Pistons, and I'm just gonna get it out the way. Cade Cunningham, props to you on your little debut. I hope you have a really good rookie season, but Killian Hayes, you are trash. I had a lot of faith in you for your rookie season and coming into this year as well, but man, you suck. You cannot score the rock at all. No mid-range pull-up, no three-point shot, and what's crazy is teams are going under all your screens. They're not even defending you or guarding you, and you're missing open shots. You are allergic to scoring the ball. I mean, you're a good passer, I'll give you that, but if teams aren't respecting your jump shot and your ability to score the ball, then how impactful can you really be as a playmaker? So already right off the bat, your best ability is removed out of the equation, and you're not a terrible defender or anything, but you don't do anything else well enough to where I can even justify you being in the league past the next couple of years. So yeah, Killian Hayes, bust. But let's move on to our final team of this video, and that is the Boston Celtics. Now recently, Marcus Smart made a take that was pretty controversial and polarizing on social media, if I say so myself. It sparked a lot of debate on if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are ball hogs, because essentially all he said is that they don't get other players involved. I'm paraphrasing here, but you guys can see the quote on the screen, and I have to say, Marcus Smart, man, you are not the right messenger to be saying that, because you're missing your shots anyway. This guy is shooting in the 20% from the field and the 3-point line. Come on, man, wrong messenger indeed. But that does ask the question, and I want to throw it to you guys in the comment section. Do y'all think that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are ball hogs? There definitely is some truth in that, but when you consider the fact that their supporting cast is filled with inconsistent players like Dennis Schroeder, Marcus Smart, Josh Richardson, yeah, there's only so much you can do with that kind of supporting cast. Now, I will admit, on the flip side of things, either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, one of them has to take on the role of playmaking for their teammates, and I think it should be Tatum because he is the better passer. And I won't go into too much depth about it because I talked about it in my recent video on Jaylen Brown and the Celtics situation, but man, Marcus Smart, he done set that locker room on fire. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. This was a pretty long video for my standards, and if you enjoyed it, drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Press that bell for post notifications. It's your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.